Welcome back. In this tutorial, we're going to take Quigler for a test drive. We're going to get under the hood so that you know exactly how it works, and you can do this privately. You can do as many test drives as you want until you get the hang of it. Our experience doesn't take more than 2 at most. You'll get it pretty quickly. Now let's go back to the beginning and remember why we're doing this. Quigler is your tool to be able to implement the formula for the greatest lead generator converter in history. What's that? It's trust. And 67% of consumers say they do not trust us. And 72% of consumers under 44 say they don't trust us. Now, please don't take that personally. This is not about you. You may very well be trusted. And if you are, you need Quigler even more because it's going to help those who do trust you to feel even better about you. But the fact is, this is what people are saying behind our backs, and we need to know it. So let's remember the formula. First, Quigler is the tool that's going to enable you yourself to have complete process know-how and demonstrate it to a consumer. And in doing so, you will provide that consumer amazing transparency, something we have never before been able to provide them. Third, you're going to be able to augment whatever phenomenal communication you now have with communication that's on steroids. And all of that is going to lead to unprecedented accountability in our business, all of which leads to greater trust in you. And it is trust that is the generator of more business than anything else, and you will have that business for life. So let's begin. You will come to this page as you're prompted after you signed into Quigler, and we're going to just start with Test Drive. Okay, Test Drive only asks you 2 very simple questions, and it takes a second. First, what kind of transaction do you want, a seller or buyer? And then second, what kind of property is it? A single, a condo, a co-op, multi. Choose one and click Finish. You're done. On the top of the screen are going to come all the steps associated with that particular type of transaction. And they range from before you even walk into the living room or sit down with a customer or client, to seller and other disclosures, and finally to the escrow and closing. Walks you through everything. Now, notice right under the steps, there are 3 tabs. There's the Open Actions tab, the Completed tab, and there is the Agree tab. The open actions are those actions that you have not yet done. So the beauty here is you can log into any transaction at any time, click on a step, and you'll see what you haven't done or what you have done. And that's what those tabs are for. Now I'm going to demonstrate the actions which are right underneath those 3 tabs for marketing. And I'm going to do 4 of them right now just to show you how it works. The first one is a fair housing action. Now, fair housing is a federal law, severe penalties, and it basically just says that all your advertising, you are not going to engage in any discrimination. So it's a simple yes and no question. All the actions in Quigler are simple yes or no questions. What we've done is taken literally thousands of pages of federal law, state law, and the NAR code, and we have digested them for you into simple yes or no questions. Every single question in Quigler is that. So in this case, we're going to click yes because of course you don't want to discriminate. It'd be a violation of federal law. The next one is truth in advertising. Now this happens not to be federal law. This happens to be the NAR code. And of course, you want to make sure that you have not misrepresented, exaggerated, or concealed any pertinent facts because that's a violation of the code. So in this case, you want to obviously also click yes. And by the way, misrepresentation of property includes all those doctored photos that people are paying to take your ugly looking apartment or home and make it look wonderful. You have to provide before and after pictures. You can't represent them as if this is what it looks like. So that also falls under truth in advertising. The next one happens to be a state law, and it happens to be for the state of Florida, which has very specific ways in which somebody has to advertise. So if you are somebody who's subscribed for state law and federal law, you will get these here. If you've just did the code, you will only get the code. And then the final one is signage consent. I believe all 50 states have something about making sure that before you put a sign up, you must get the seller's permission. And in this case, you also want to click yes. Now, let's look at what happened. Remember the 3 tabs above, the open and the completed? Well, now when you look at it, there are not 9 open, but there are 5. And that's because 4 of them have moved to the completed. So as you complete, you will then have that tab fill up. And again, you'll be able to click at any time into a transaction and see exactly where you are and what you have done and what you haven't done. Now, if you want to open these up under the completed tab, on the right are drop-down arrows. Just click them. Each one will open up. Now, when it opens up, you are going to see exactly what the consumer sees. And it's going to say, this is the consumer's notification, by the way. It says, David has discussed, David has explained, David and his brokerage have agreed that they're going to do this or that. Okay, that's what these are. So this is exactly what the consumer is seeing from you. Now, before we close actions, I want to just do one more. And this happens to be, I'm going to move to seller and other disclosures. And this happens to be an energy efficiency disclosure. It is unique to Florida. And in this case, every single buyer must be given this by their agent in Florida. So I'm going to answer incorrectly because I want to show you what happens when you answer incorrectly. A stop sign comes up and it says, don't do that. Or you must do this, okay? And it gives you what the correct answer is. Answer yes. So this is why Quigler is never a test. It's never trying to catch you at doing anything. Quigler is your private mentor, your private friend, your tutor, constantly sitting on your shoulder, making sure you always do the right thing so that Quigler can tell the consumer that you have always done the right thing. And this is what happens if you ever answer anything wrong. So sleep well at night, knowing that you have somebody always keeping you on the right track to do the right thing. All right, so that's Test Drive. You now know it. Let's just remind ourselves. We are using this tool to implement the formula for BizGen, which provides for process know-how, amazing transparency, super strong communication on top of everything you do now, and accountability, all of which leads to trust that leads to more business for life. That's Quigler.